Namaste, my good friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and I help people navigate through their ascension process. And today is going to be a September 2017 Ascension Energy Forecast or Update. This will be part one of two videos I'm going to do. There's just so much going on, very similar to August, that I just simply can't condense all of my thoughts into one video. So I will get right into it. I'm going to discuss right now 5 different bullet points that are associated with this September-ish energy we are all immersed in right now. Number 1, it is a time, a need for balance, for grounding. After this crazy month of August, we all just survived barely. There's a lot of dust still unsettled, and there was just so much energy added to our lives that catalyzed so many different types of transformation that there is a real need for getting reestablished in our normal everyday life. You probably already know this. You probably already feel this. You probably feel like, man, I'm unbalanced right now. I just can't seem to get a hold of my life and my schedule and myself. I'm unbalanced. My thoughts are racy. My emotions are random and fluctuating. My life is just out of my control. The time is condensing, and oh my goodness, there's such a need for balance, and yet it seems like an impossibility. It seems like the likelihood of you realistically being able to implement any semblance of balance is more impossible than ever. So a big theme this month will be to do your best. So here's kind of what I'm doing to try to achieve a state of balance in this climate, which is not really so conducive to balance in any way, shape, or form. This is a concept, a very simple life premise taken out of the type of education I like to teach my children. Or my daughter once went to one of these schools. We're temporarily homeschooling with this philosophy. It's the Waldorf Steiner education philosophy. Anyways, it's not my job to convince you of that being the best or anything. There's a big part of the way they structure their days in the classroom. They have what they call rhythms. And the rhythms can be broken up into 2 categories simply, and that is an inhale and an exhale. An exhale is doing, expressing. It requires energy. It takes away from you. It puts out. An inhale is something that puts something into you. It allows you to kind of rest and take in, to even out the balance. Most of us right now are probably finding ourselves doing nothing but exhaling. And our life is demanding that of us. It's nothing but exhales. You wake up and you're exhaling, you're doing. And there's almost no time at all to inhale. And yet we need it more than ever. In order for us to continue to do so much exhaling, which we want to do, because the reality of the ascension is changing us and giving us and springing all these new desires, which are just, in a nutshell, more exhales. But in order for us to continue exhaling at this pace, we must somehow carve out time, as challenging as that might be, to inhale. I've been making myself do this. One of the things I've been doing is I've been taking my little dog rollerblading, which is not super hard for me. It's not like I go fast or anything. And I listen to music, and that's it. I don't accomplish anything except for, doing right by my dog and keeping her cool and in an even keel. I don't study audiobooks like I often do. I'm not contemplating my next step. I'm just listening to some good old-fashioned rock and roll simply because it feels good. It's an inhale. And I'm trying my best. And some days are more successful than others. I'm trying my absolute best because I know the necessity of it to do more inhaling, to habitualize inhale, period. That is against the grain of our normal go, dog eat dog type society, but I believe if I am going to continue to, if I want to be happy, I have to inhale. I have to find a way to balance, and I know it's not easy, so I'm just doing my best. Number 2, it's a time, there is a need for processing. There was just, I really fall short in my words of capturing how huge I think this last month was, but it just seemed to be a massive spike and buildup of energy, of the same transformative ascension type energy that we've been kind of dealing with for quite some time. It seemed like it just, boom, there was a lot of it. And then like as it has worked its way into our lives, there's just so much about our consciousness that has changed over such a short span of time. And it can feel a bit ungrounding, a bit confusing. And there is also, just as equally important to the balance aspect and the inhaling, I believe there's a need for processing, for allowing your mind to just kind of run away with itself as it ponders the new insights that have been emerging inside of it. I actually mistakenly used the whole my dog Rosie rollerblading her. That was more of an example. It fit the bill with number one, but that was my example I had written down for processing. That's kind of my way of processing. Just like earlier today. Normally, I structure my work day where I do all my work-related stuff, you know, coaching and shooting videos and writing blogs and building websites. I have a lot of different things I do. And normally it was like I just bust ass all day and then I try to get off early. But I'm realizing that's imbalance. There's not enough inhaling. There's not enough time for just me, and I'm not able to be my best during the whole duration of that. So what I've been doing is just taking little chunks of time throughout my day, and just for myself, unproductive times. Like today, I went for a little walk on the beach and listened to music. Again, normally I have that like type A personality. I'm always going for something. I said, enough. You got to slow it down, man. And I just walked on the beach and listened to music. And that's a way for me to process things. That's the way that my mind can wander. And I always feel like I have much more of a conceptual handle on myself and my life after doing that type of activity. But again, it's not easy. You're probably thinking, dude, must be nice to go and have that. It's not easy for me. This does not happen on a daily basis for me, not even close. But I recognize the need, and I'm doing my best, and I would suggest any of you who are feeling this way do the same, because I think it's just going to get faster, these energies. And it's sometimes we can go so fast that we're not even noticing the scenery. We're not even really learning anything. So I'm trying to slow myself down, allow myself to process so I can actually benefit from this amazing opportunity of this spike in transformation energy that is blasting the planet and giving way to a great potential of human accelerated evolution. Number 3 is you're probably feeling a major time crunch. A feeling like all of the 2 things I said, you probably agree. Yeah, I could use some more balance, dude. I know that. Yeah, I guess I could have. It'd be nice if I could have some time to process some stuff, but I don't have time, man. It's just like the obligations of life are building up to the point of, it's almost like it's very easy to get discouraged and to feel incredibly overwhelmed, just swamped by life. Like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through the day? And even more so, how am I going to continue living life at this pace? I'm slowing down. I'm burning out. And yet it keeps coming, man. So I feel that too. I don't have a 1, 2, 3 step solution to make that any easier. It appears to be the playing field we are playing on right now. And I do know that, at least in my experience, it's not so much, in my opinion, that the energy ceases. It's rather we just keep adapting. We just keep acclimating to the new speed. The speed is a good thing. A lot of people are waking up big time now, and they're realizing that their life is a big mess. It's a big pile of situations and circumstances that they realize now they're part in it, and yet it's like, oh my goodness, dude. It just feels like an uphill battle, and the incline keeps getting steeper, and the ground is getting less there's no traction. It's just slippery, and it's like, and then as you look up, the mountain is growing. It's getting taller. It's like, oh my goodness, man! And now this time crunch, it can be so maddening. But anyway, I digress. That's the speed, as uncomfortable as it is, as draining as it is. That's going to help you. What's the word? I don't know, there's a cool fancy word for climbing. I can't think of it. Anyway, scaling the mountain maybe. It's going to help you scale that mountain, man. The speed's going to help you. Yeah, it's going to be tiring. It's like I could walk, I probably walked about a mile here. I could walk back and not really exert that much energy, not really put my body through much stress. But if I really want to get to my car fast, I'll run. I'll run very quickly. And then it's like, oh wow, you're tired. I'm tired from running. I'm sweating, it's freaking hot. And for some stupid reason, I wore a black semi-sweatshirt. And it's like, oh my goodness. But again, it's a trade-off. Speed equates to getting out of that life situation quickly. But there's a price that comes with that speed, and that's the disorientation that you have to temporarily deal with. But what's neat about this kind of speed, it's a speed that you'll get used to. It's been speeding up. It's been speeding up for years, probably decades, as some would say. We just haven't all been aware of it. And yet, we keep acclimating to a new state of normal, a new speed. And we just went through we just got on the freeway. We just sped up a lot, and we're still getting used to it, but that's okay. It's a good thing overall, because we'll be at that pace, and that will be a new normal. So number 4 is, in light, my advice, what I will be doing in this type of energy is what I find to be the best way to go about a situation now in life is it's a big time semi-contradictory paradox. But on one hand, I'm going to relax my expectations on myself, because I know realistically my ability to implement a lot of the ideas in my head, it's so challenging on such shaky ground right now, such emotional upheaval and mental scatterness and life situations emerging out of left field, drawing my attention and energy. There's constantly variables floating into my reality that keep foiling my plans. So rather than really beat myself up because my mind wants situation X to resolve by such and such date, I'm going to kind of relax on myself. I don't recommend, I know the pointlessness of guilt. And a lot of times we can create the feeling and the heaviness of guilt in our body, stifling our forward pursuits anyway, by having unrealistic expectations. Now I balance that with shooting for the sky. I recommend it's a time to bust ass and to try harder and be your best more than ever before. There is really no more room for sloppiness or laziness or taking much time to really wallow and complain. So it's really time to really muster as much of your potential as possible in every given situation. With that said, again, balancing it with the reality that might not happen realistically at all times. So in those events, relax, forgive yourself quickly. That will help a lot. Quick self-forgiveness. I was just telling a client the other day, he was going through something very similar where he keeps making these plans for himself. And there was a time in his life when things were more steady and he could do them just fine. But now, for whatever reason, it's just not happening. He just keeps tripping himself up or getting so such a state of the funk and the blah, melancholy, depression in a sense, and just it stops doing it. And I was explaining to him that it's efficient if you can just keep trying and don't give up and forgive yourself quickly. And the example I gave him in my life is the other day, as I was talking already about rollerblading my little dog, I realized that she needs to get out more. You know, before I had children, I had 3 dogs actually and a couple of cats. I really love dogs, and I was such an amazing dog owner, in my opinion. I really put a lot of time and energy into them. I trained them well. I would walk them a lot. I have had them treadmill trained where they could walk on the treadmill to really keep them in a state of balanced and whatnot. But now that I have 3 children, it's just so demanding. The There's not enough for me to go around, and unfortunately my little dog is not getting the same level of attention as my older dog, or my other dogs in the past. So, but regardless, that's not an excuse, and I realized that. And I said, you know what, Vic, you're going to start rollerblading this dog, and because she needs it. I know you're tired, I know you don't have the time, you're just going to freaking do it because you chose to get this dog, and you got to do right by her. So I decided to do that. I was getting ready, I was getting my iPod on, I realized that, you know, this could be kind of a win-win. I could do some processing, it's a good way to inhale, all this is kind of going through my head. And I was so excited about it. I thought, wow, I'm finally accomplishing my goal, because I've been meaning to do this for a while. And all these other side benefits kind of popped into my head, and I was just really psyched about it. And for some reason, my brand new phone, which I'm filming on right now, the volume, I was trying to hook up my headphones, and the freaking bug, the volume was just not working. There's no volume, no matter what I did. I turned it off, turned it on. You know, I just got so worked up. I got so mad on the fly, like a little child that had kind of a tantrum, and I took my headphones and I chucked them against the wall, and they broke. And I felt like such an idiot. I went from really like in a good space, and one minor inconvenience, which I'm sure my phone was almost dead and I should have just charged it or something simple. One little thing caused me to explode emotionally inside to the point of destroying my new headphones. And it was the guilt. I felt so stupid. I felt like just a failure at life. Like, dude, you suck. What a childish indiscretion that was. But then maybe a minute after that, I was like, hey babe, can I borrow your phone? I'm gonna go take Rosie. I got over it. I just let it go. And I moved on. I didn't let that situation affect my judgment upon myself, affect how I think of myself, my character, and my ability as a human being. I didn't go into all of that because I know it does nothing. It would have just ruined my entire day, causing it to be more unproductive, causing me to proceed from a place of negativity, manifesting more situations only to reinforce that. So I just let it go. It's natural to me. It wasn't something I really tried to do. I've just naturally learned that's the best way to deal with these kinds of things. I allow myself to struggle in these times of transformation. I shoot my sights high, but I allow myself to fall over and over again, knowing that it's a tough game we're playing here. Now, with that said, that's not a get out of jail free-for-all to just be destructive and sloppy. It's all a paradox. It's all just a balance. But generally speaking, I think that if we can learn to forgive ourselves quickly, knowing the futility of guilt and the fact that it doesn't help us, it will be almost necessary to maintain ourselves in this new energy. Number 5, it's a time of doing what it takes to get it done. Maybe that requires bending or breaking the rules or going against the grain. It's a time of doing your best in challenging circumstances. I have a perfect example. I'm listening to an audiobook right now by this real awesome Navy SEAL with the last name of Wilco. And he was explaining, I don't recall the exact procedure, but essentially the lesson is he was explaining one of the different types of training they do for the Navy SEALs. There's a set of these ground rules of just different ways they must conduct themselves in the heat of battle. It's like their protocol, their procedure. Well, they put these SEALs just to kind of see what they would do in a situation that would basically force them to break the rules if they were to survive the drill or make it happen. So these SEALs, they had to, I don't know, get across some sort of crazy obstacle. And one of the rules is they have to always listen to their commanding officer. But they were in a situation where it was so loud, I forgot what it was, fans or something, simulating gunfire or something, but they knew that the commanding officer was just not getting heard. Down the link, the message was not getting all the way down to the chain of different people, and they were looking back and saying, wow, these guys they don't understand what to do. And yet we have to cross this. There's no time to wait. We have this rule where we can't just play the whole telephone game because we all know the folly and error in that. So what do? And I forgot what they did, unfortunately, but they broke the rules. They somehow abandoned, they abandoned that rule that was in place that you must always listen to your commanding officer because they knew in this particular circumstance it just was not going to work. So you might have to really open your mind to possibilities that are unconventional as a means of I don't know, progressing yourself forward in whatever way you want. It's just that type of environment. And yet, the whole broader essence of that lesson was that that drill was created that way on purpose. Because they don't want the SEALs, they want them to be able to think on their own and think outside of the box and really own their power and not blindly just carry out instructions. They want to they want these people to have a mind of their own. And that is my opinion why life is so freaking crazy and dynamic like that, because it's a way to really test ourselves. It's a way to really achieve true wisdom, true experience. And that is what I think this ascension is about, these times are about, and I think that theme is going to be much more obvious now and continuing on. I don't see things slowing down. I can see it only getting crazier, and it's like an author I like, Dolores Cannon, she talks about the ascension. She gives the analogy like a dog with a bunch of fleas on its back. Well, the dog is getting sick of all these fleas on its back, us. So it wants to kind of transform itself, so it starts shaking it. It does what dogs do when they get out of a pool or something. It shakes. And it doesn't care. Some fleas are going to fly right off. Some they're going to learn to adapt, and they're going to hang on for dear life. And the end result for those who have chosen to hold on to the strands of hair from that dog are going to realize, wow, there's so much more space. I'm not so... I just feel lighter. I feel better. This dog is clean, thank goodness. We're not sopping wet either. It's a much nicer environment. But we have to kind of hang on. And the dog is shaking big time right now. And I don't see everyone hanging on, quite honestly. But you guys will. You guys are the ones who need to. It's hard for you. It's hard for me. It was hard for me to come do this video. I was driving all around. It was like super thick fog. I drove all the way up from Imperial Beach to Coronado, and I just could not find a spot. And I eventually, something in my mind, I decided to come here. So it wasn't like natural and easy and effortless for me, but I did it. And that is, I think, the mentality that I know I've been needing lately anyways to maintain myself, is no longer waiting or expecting things to change or to need them to change. Rather, I can draw upon the wisdom inherent in all these different challenges and grow myself to such an extent that it does not matter how hard that dog is shaking, because I will be one of those fleas to hold on. And it is my hope and my belief that you will too.